So bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to...
Shh. Hello and welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. I'm your host, Roger Sargent, and today joining me is the gang from Valor Marketing, Joe Zeman and Galen Ruelos.
Yes.
Thank you. I knew I'd have trouble with that one. So thank you guys for joining me, and I'm sorry that I butchered your name. Maybe if they knew how to edit here, maybe we can get that taken care of, right? All right. So today, obviously, we're going to be talking about marketing, but we're not going to be talking about marketing in the general sense. And what I mean by that is when I'm talking to small business owners about their marketing and their lackluster results. You know, typically when I look at their marketing, I see that it's not really, the motivation of the customer. They always the owner's always thinking, okay, what's happening? The customer's just not ready to buy. Mm-hmm. And I look, I said, maybe it's a lack of clarity on your message in your delivery. And I'm sure you guys have seen that more than one occasion, right?
Yes, we agree.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about that, but I want everybody to understand really who I have in my guests. You know, I'm not going to say your last name anymore, Galen. So okay. It's Galen,
Yes.
And I got Joe. All right. I don't think there's any two people that work harder than you guys do at what you do. And when I always see, read the line, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. All I can think about is, I don't know how much you do of this, Joe, but I know that Joe is hitting the concrete every day, introducing to people. And that typically just doesn't happen anymore, not with the age of technology and stuff like that. And the fact that, Joe, you still do that, I commend you, and I could probably have a whole podcast.
Cold calling. Yep.
Specifically just on how you do that, and we might end up doing that. But today we're going to be talking about not so much strategies on marketing, but really how do we define success, and really what do we measure to know that we did hit that success.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's really what we're going to talk about today, because you guys have really raised the bar on really connecting businesses.
Thank you.
All I know is that it seems like when you're out and about, if you can't help that person, that business owner, and they need help. I know I get this email from you sometimes twice a week saying, mm-hmm. Roger, I think you need to talk to this person. Roger, I think you need to talk to this person. And they usually all pan out that they need specific help. So thank you for that, and keep doing the great job. So before I let you guys talk about yourselves, mm-hmm. okay, I know that when you guys are doing your job to help the business owner really connect with their customers. I look at you guys, and I look at, because we live here in Gig Harbor, so we're surrounded by water, right? I love the line, the rising tide raises the boat. So when I hear that line, I think of you guys really doing what you need to do to get the right message out for your clients. Mm-hmm. And then the water is the customers coming in.
Right.
And when I told you guys about this in kind of our warm-up, you had this great story about one of your clients.
Yes. So I have a client, Advanced Septic Services, Josh Gunya. We've worked with him for about 7-8 years now. And they're a septic company that was a small septic company, probably around 15 people, and they were off Canyon Road in Puyallup. Well, fast forward to now, they're probably close to 85 employees. In the years that we started working with them, they have grown their business 28% year over year the past 7 years. He just purchased a new building in Auburn. They're growing. They've expanded their services. And really the kind of tipping point when we kind of raised them up, so to speak, was just getting on the same page with their messaging, their marketing, so that their goals were our goals. We're a kind of company that provides data-driven results. It's the data. That's our story that we tell with our clients. So one of our great success stories. So thank you for letting me share that.
But also, the tides in the boat has a special meaning with this company because they just purchased
a marina, correct?
Yes. So from when they were a marina, they purchased their own marina. So yeah, a couple sailboats now, and now they have their own marina and expanding rapidly. So
I'm going to say it anyway. It's my podcast. I can say whatever I want.
Do it.
So we've all seen the movie Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase and
Yes.
and Cousin Eddie. Do you remember the famous line when he's out there emptying the septic system in the?
No.
You need to watch the movie.
I watched it. I don't remember the line.
So he's
Randy
out-
Quaid. Right?
Randy Quaid. He's out there emptying his porta potty from his RV into the sewer, and Clark looks out, and Cousin Eddie says, "Merry Christmas," and then he says, "The something's full." So I'm glad you gave me an opportunity to tell you that story.
Awesome.
All right. So
Is this a PG-13 podcast or like an R-rated podcast?
well, today it sounds like it's going to be closer to R-rated.
Sweet.
All right.
Okay.
So let me thank a couple sponsors real fast, and I want you guys to tell the audience a little bit more about you guys. So first, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting for delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. BD Local Podcast, thank you, Tim and Sadie, for the use of this great studio and all your efforts with the production and editing and making me look and sound better than I do. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. And Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. All right, guys. Galen, tell us about you.
So I'm a Seattle-born, lived all my life in Seattle. My dad worked for Boeing for 48 years, so we grew up in South Seattle. I'm a product of like Catholic schools growing up. I went to O'Day High School and then the University of Washington. Where I met Joe and ultimately how we formed our company was with a previous marketing agency. And then from there, we started Valor Marketing. We're tapped on the shoulder to start this new venture. And since that point, we've been happily educating and serving the local business community. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me as a guest.
You're very welcome. And I want everybody to understand that key word that you just said about educating. We're going to get into that later with with our podcast. But, that's another thing that makes you guys stand out, I think, as well as anybody, is because that you would take the time to consult and educate. So, Joe, tell us about you.
All right.
And keep it clean.
I'm going to try. So I grew up in a small town in the suburbs of Chicago. When I hit 18, I joined the military and off went. I spent 4 years active duty, 2 years National Guard. But right out of the military, I took the first job that I can get, which was slinging yellow page advertising. Did that for 15 years, where I met this guy next to me and our owner of the company, Mick Credier. I'm married, got a beautiful wife. I've been married, maybe 14, 15 years, something like that.
Get it right?
Get it right. 14 years, I think. We got a 17-year-old son who'll be turning 18, who's just a all-around good kid and just a student athlete. And being that we're in marketing, he's now interested in marketing. So,
And
that's the clean version.
that's a clean version. And he's not able to get onto the football field yet, right?
Correct.
That's too bad.
That superintendent and CK is. We'll just leave it at that. Sorry.
Absolutely. This might be turned R-rated faster than we think, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's get on with the podcast. So in a world where the most marketing looks and sounds alike, how do we separate ourselves from that competition? So when I was living down in Dallas, I took over a health and fitness club founded by Dr. Ken Cooper, who was the guy that really launched the word. He added the letter S to aerobic, and he's really the one that created the word aerobics for group exercise. And so this gentleman, he's still alive, and I think he's probably about 20 some years older than me. But anyway, when you walk into the lobby of the health club, they got this great, big, beautiful painting of him looking very, like a good doctor,
Right.
Very well-to-do doctor. And so it's about my third day on the job, and I was, making some changes. And so every one of the members wanted to talk to me about what they thought I should do, right? Everybody's now my new boss, right? Well, that's how it is with customer service. So anyway, I'm talking to these two people, and they're kind of giving me, a good talking to. We'll leave it at that. And out the corner of my eye, I see these other two guys standing off to the side, and you can just tell they're dying to see me. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, I'm never going to get home. And, this is just going to go on and on and on. So I get done talking to the the two people I was talking to, and these two guys, I mean, they literally sprinted right towards me. Hands reached out, and I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of a nice thing. It's not a fist. It's,
Right.
it's a hand to shake my hand. So as I'm shaking her hand, the one guy goes, I've been waiting years and years and years to see you and to meet you. And I looked at him, I said, I'm sorry, sir, but I've only been here 3 days. And just by chance, I was standing right in front of that picture of Dr. Cooper. And they looked at me and they looked up at the picture. They looked back at me and they said, "That's not you." And I'm thinking, "No, wait a minute."
Whoops.
Whoops. I go, "I need to know your name because I'm immediately going to go start doubling your dues every month for that comment." but it's very normal, and it's probably very succinct to what you guys do. So much marketing. It's like they go to the same school and they get all taught the same thing. So it doesn't matter if you're a septic company or a gutter cleaning company or a consulting company. It seems like everything looks and sounds the same, even though the businesses are so damn different.
Right.
So with that being said, let's get into the first question. You guys are Valor Marketing. You really do a lot of consulting and educating, and you're into the data. So let's just find out, what do you guys really do? I mean, so tell us,
All right.
what do you guys do?
So we're an internet marketing company. We do everything from building websites to search engine optimization, Google Ads, yada, yada, yada. There's pretty much anything internet marketing related. If your business needs it, we can do it and help you. But the difference between what we do and what a lot of other marketing companies do is that we're going to save our clients time and we're going to save our clients money and we're going to educate them. So I would say 75% of what we do is educate our clients or potential clients on internet marketing, the different ways that their business can show up, the pros and cons for each way. So that way the business owner can make an educated decision on their marketing. And like you mentioned, every business is different. Every business's goals are different. So we're not a package deal. People ask all the time, what kind of packages do you have? There's no such thing as a package. It's, here's your business, here's what your goals are. Let's put together a plan that's for your goals specifically. And then as your company grows and your goals change, so does your marketing.
So when you say you're going to save the client time and money, does that money, is that reflected on the bottom line as well as the money that they're saving for not having to spend the time on that project?
Well, let me address that. So, example for like getting on Google. Google My Business page is one of the first things that we educate businesses on. That is free. So it's part of our free consultation. When we say the save time and money part, there are agencies out there that will charge small businesses for this. We're pretty passionate about this. So the education piece, that 75% of what we do. The past 2 years, we've received Google's High Impact Local Award, which means that we serve the local business community at a higher rate than other Google partner agencies. So we're really proud of the fact that it's not something we paid for. It was given to us because of our accomplishments and how we serve literally our local business community. Now it's a little bit different. The cold calling doors is a little different COVID time, so we're doing more virtual workshops, but we're so proud of just educating as part of our complimentary consultation that we will walk a customer through. We may not be the right fit for everyone, but leaving a meeting with us, they will get the basics of this is what this means, or I should be paying for this, or this is available for free. So we really like that part of serving the local business community.
So let's get into that education part. Now, I truly believe that you haven't taught until they've learned, okay? And then the next thing is that when you start to teach and you start to give that education on one part of their business, you start to see that all of a sudden they start improving in other parts of their business as well. So what was the tipping point to really get you guys into this type of a business model?
Okay. So for us, it was the main reason why the Valor Marketing started is let's call them big box stores, larger marketing companies like that, ones that we came from and other companies. I think they're in it for the wrong reason. We started the company because we were tired of seeing small business owners get screwed over by other marketing companies because they just didn't understand. And so a lot of your big box stores, I put them in quote, big box stores, will say things to confuse the business owner. So they could be already doing one type of marketing and they'll refer to that marketing in different terminology, and now just so that they can sell their product and get a tick on the board and look good for their manager.
Okay.
So that's not our goal.
And I guess for me, just to almost piggyback on that, I want to say in December of 2016 or 2015, we were invited by Google to be part of a local workshop they had for getting businesses online on Google. I think it was like in
Seattle.
the Soto area in Seattle. And we asked the presenter, or she came forward to us and said, you guys could host your own workshops. So for me, that was a tipping point. Like, well, we could help businesses in our own local communities, and we've served a lot of business communities in Washington. So the moment we did that, we got the recognition from Google. So it's kind of motivated us. When you win an award, you want to maintain your level of performance, right? So we have a high standard, Joe and I, for educating our clients, keeping up to date, just so when a client speaks to Valor Marketing, we may not sell them anything, but they will leave the meeting learning something.
Yes,
Exactly.
And with those workshops, just a teaser, we are going to do another one online. So there's
Okay.
like Google gives 4 or 5 topics. We choose one, and the best part about it is you don't have to hear myself or Galen speak for an hour. You get to hear someone directly from Google present on Google's topic.
But if they do want to listen to you guys, they can come to my podcast and download it and listen to
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Yes, and subscribe accordingly.
There
right?
you go. Okay, so there is surely nothing quite so useless as doing with great efficiency what should not be done at all. The great Peter Drucker said that. So what is your guys' definition of a poorly created social media or marketing plan?
For me, it's. I'm guilty of this too. I can admit that. But it's businesses post usually when they just have the time, and unfortunately, businesses don't have the time. So when they say, "Oh, I'll just get to it," or "I'm just going to post," when I feel like it, unfortunately. Posting when you feel like it is not correct. You could look at your insights. You could see when people are actually looking at your posts, what type of posts are getting better engagement. So there's all types of things you could do with your social media. But it's just whenever they feel like having the time to post is just not a good way to do things, which brings us into probably Galen's consistency.
So I would say, yes, consistency. If you're doing a marketing plan or social media campaign, you touched about it earlier, Roger. You're getting your message, and you don't want to mix your message. So the message that you convey, it has to be consistent. So if you're a gutter company, everything should have to be doing with gutters, and it should be unmistakable. You're not going to have like a cat post or a dog post or, the Seahawks one or whatever. Focus it on your business. You can still have fun, but that goes with the consistency and your content. When they see something that has your brand associated with it, you want to be unmistakable that that's your brand, that's your consistency. Because if it's mixed messages, then some customers, we're in a society now that people aren't patient. They look on their cell phones for a lot of interactions, but quick interactions. You're not spending, some people are spending more time on the phone than they should, but when people make decisions, it's how could you serve what I'm looking for right now? We educate our clients or try to tell them to be consistent with what you want to convey now. So for a short-term goal and a long-term goal.
But I will say, though, some of the things that has helped businesses grow on social media is doing memes. Or we have one of the sponsors of our podcast, we have, she posted a video of dogs feeding in the office. And it was a female dog, and the pups were feeding. And I have to say it. And the caption was, "This is what happens when you allow inter-office relations." Right? And it got literally like 1,200 likes instantly. I want to say she got 2 or 3 new clients from it, just from the fact that she posted that. People related to it, thought it was funny, shared it, and all of a sudden, boom, 2 or 3 new clients. Cindy Rimby at CR Gutters.
There's no telling where this conversation is going to go from question to question, but you guys talked about the message. And one of my mentors back a long time ago always told me, knowledge is knowing what to say, wisdom is knowing when to say it. And just like you alluded to earlier, Joe, that sometimes there's certain times of day that you want to post, that are better than others. And this is what you guys get into. So that leads me to my next question. So what is your system and processes and to help, customers open their doors and or clients open their doors and inspire action?
I guess for us as a company, we're always big on the relationship with the client or the customer, or if it ends up being a friend. We've seen from the big box stores or other agencies that are more transactional, where they want to just do activities for the sake of activities, where we really, like the septic company I mentioned earlier, sharing their success story. Once we got to know their goals, the people, we're able to work around that. And really, it is data-driven advertising, but then we could craft a strategy that kind of works with them and what our goals are. We want to grow their business. They want to grow. So for us, it's so big on the client relationship. I'd say, Joe, about half our time each week is spent with existing clients, reviewing them, looking for opportunities. And we're not afraid to share if there are not wins, if there are failures. We're in a COVID era, so not all businesses are succeeding, but we've been able to pivot with our, clients with a marketing strategy. You're not going to cut things with an axe. Let's take a chisel and craft things differently. Let's not freak out. Let's not panic. Let's pivot. So when we maintain that kind of dialogue, customers trust us, then our referrals with growing our business have been because of that, because we're so transparent and relationship-based.
Correct. And so part of what we do is we track everything. So a business should know if I'm doing SEO and I'm doing Google ads and I'm doing display ads and I'm doing this other type of marketing, you should track what you're doing across the board. So you should know that if I'm investing X number of dollars, I'm getting this much in return. So you do that with Google Analytics. There's something called callrail.com, which is call tracking. It's a third-party company that we use. You could, go look yourself. You get a 2-week free trial to start it. But you can track phone calls. You can see where all of your phone calls are coming from to your website traffic, whether it's organic or paid or social media, doesn't matter. They track it all. For us, for SEO, we report once a week, as well as a huge monthly report that's like anywhere from 16 to 23 pages. It's ridiculous. But the reason why we do that is because we want to show our clients what we're doing for the money that they're investing in their business. And we believe that if you could take this 23-page report and go do it yourself, then go do it yourself. But 9 times out of 10, those people just come back because they're like, I tried to do it myself, and I couldn't do what you guys did. And then with Google Ads, same thing. For us, it's all about, it's just data-driven. You need to know, if you're, like I said, how much am I spending on marketing and what is my return? And if you're not tracking, then you can't make an educated decision on what to do next for your business.
So real quick, like for example, like a pest control company I work with, like I know looking at their marketing, because people want simple terms. Sometimes the reports get too overwhelming. So then they like stuff like, all right, it's $12 a phone call. Every 3 phone calls, you get a customer. So your cost per acquisition is $36. So if I'm spending $360 a month, I'm getting 10 clients. If I'm spending, $720, I'm getting 20 clients. So then that is just that numerical, that equation for creating customers has grown. Now there's a little ebbs and flows and everything, but they get to know what they spend. So that's what we really like to do, is the data-driven part. We're results-based, data-driven. What does it cost to get a phone call, get a lead? Some businesses are a little harder, like a personal injury attorney I work with. It's $100 a phone call, and it usually takes 5 phone calls for a visit, so that's $500 a visit. Well, it takes 3 visits to get a signed client. So now you're talking cost per acquisition is $1,500, right? So a client spending $3,000 a month is getting 2 clients a month. But if their average case is $20,000, they get their 30%. There's the ROI built in. And that's where you clear the clutter, the chaos of the many reports that we do. They want to see those results in what they could relate to. So that's what makes it a little different.
And I will add to that, part of what we do is just consult. So it's getting into so it's not just we're building those relationships. So it's not just consulting on marketing, but it's also consulting on other aspects of their business. So let's say I noticed their logo sucks. Hey, have you ever worked with a graphic designer to improve your logo, to help with your branding? No. Who do you know? Great. Here's someone I know. Who do you work with for bookkeeping? Well, I don't have one. I do it myself, or my wife does it. She hates doing it. Do you know someone? My life would be better if my wife didn't hate me, right? So it's just, how can I help that business outside of just marketing?
And hopefully soon it'll be, do you know any business coaches? Well,
Right.
yes, we do.
There you go.
He's in the room now. So thanks for having us again.
No problem. And that's such great advice. What gets measured gets done. And I love that you broke it down to the fact that, okay, if you spend this much money, you're going to get this many people calling you back. And if you close 3 of those, you get this. So now all you have to do is say, okay, how much is my average cost of my product that they're buying? And you can do the math and say, okay, it's worth it, it's not worth it. I mean, it's just really that simple.
Because
Yes.
when you know those numbers, we like to say, I become your best drug dealer with Google Ads.
Yeah.
It's how quick can I give you the money, and how many new clients can I give you? So if I keep
Exactly.
giving, I'm going to keep getting more.
Exactly. No, I love it. You're talking my language, so thank you for that. But now let's talk about that individual client. I know when I'm talking to small business owners, it takes literally a nanosecond to realize that these guys are so rigid in their way of thinking. They do it a certain way. They've done it for X number of days, X number of years, whatever. And when I ask them, why do you do it that way? They always tell me, I don't know, we've always done it that way. So I always want to pop out my old pot roast story. So I'm not going to bore the audience with my pot roast story for the 15th millionth time. But so many times it's so easy to just immediately know that that person is going to have barriers up every way because they're so stuck. How do you guys maneuver around those barriers?
I guess it just comes again. We just try to educate the client. So it's almost breaking down the barriers, right? So when we meet with them, we're not trying to sell them anything. We're not going to assume that they need this because we make more money on it or it sounds good. Everyone's talking about it. It really comes down to getting to know them, what their goals are, because oftentimes the messaging or the market strategy they're trying to put together maybe doesn't align with like the results they want to achieve. And sometimes when they're rigid like that, they don't see that. They're so used to being this that they have to make it go the same way. But if it fights like this, we have to kind of deconstruct that. So one of the things we do with that for clients, because for us, an internet marketing company, the website's the hub of everything. It's a hub and spoke model. The website's in the center. So one of our big consultation tools is a free website audit that we do where it gives a lot of information that they may not want to hear, but even if they don't hire us, it gives them a tool to take to their website person. Hey, these are 10 things that we could fix that could improve your performance right away. So for us, it goes down again. It's probably boring the audience, but the educational piece, we just want to make sure people know what they're getting into because internet marketing is a relative term that could go a lot of different ways.
So let's talk about a couple more of those obstacles. Another thing that I always look at when I'm talking to business owners is that they're doing it, for no better term, half-assed, because they're so busy working in their business, they don't have time to work on their business. And so you mentioned earlier, about that, you save them time. They don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So when they have to do something that they're not good at and they probably don't really want to do, talking about the bookkeeping and stuff like that, they rush right through it. And so I always think of the quote by John Wooden that says, "If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over again?" And now we're talking your business. So you don't get to go down and buy a mulligan and say,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna do this over. You've lost something. You either lost time, precious time, good times with your family and your wife and enjoying some of that, or you lose money, So tell us some more about some of those obstacles.
So as far as
I would say, like with the website, sometimes since we first do a SEO campaign to a website, we need to get behind the scenes. And sometimes the obstacle is not having access to a website. So if it's with a third-party vendor or someone else, we get the common comment, "Oh, my wife's cousin built us our website. He built it 3 years ago. Do you have the username and password to that?" No, he left. When he left to Phoenix, he took it with him. Well, how are you going to make changes if you don't have access to it, right? It's like having access to your website's like having the keys to your house. How are you going to get in? Well, you can't break in. We don't do things illegally. So that's often like a big obstacle for us. Or when you get to a Google Ads campaign, if you work with a big box store, sometimes they'll say like, "Oh, I'm spending $1,000 a month on Google Ads." Joe, are they spending $1,000 a month?
No, they're probably spending 50% of that budget goes to the ads, and 50% of that budget goes to the business to manage.
So again, it goes down to an education piece. Like they don't know. They think, oh, because we're working with this reputable name, we're getting taken care of. But it's the converse. They're not. They're getting taken out. So.
No, that's, I, you know, I think we've all been talking to the same clients because everything you're saying, just resonates with, a lot of the clients that I deal with on a daily basis as well. And you can only hold their hand for so long before, something bad's going to happen. So you need to get these guys educated to where they fully understand. So when I do come in, I'm kind of like the closer, the bottom of the ninth. You're bringing me in to help with the business and the processes that they need to get this happening.
I will add one more thing too. So usually with like third-party companies, marketing companies, and it's notorious for lawyers. There's a marketing agency called like Fine Law, right? So attorneys are supposed to be smart people. Well, they sign 36-month marketing contracts. Not very smart. So we could educate the heck out of them. If you're 3 months into a 36-month deal, no bueno. You have to, maybe there's a buyout clause that they have to kind of take in. So that could be a huge obstacle too, as if people have signed up for a longer term contract with a big box marketing
part
company.
of that obstacle then is just meeting with them and saying, what is everything that you're doing for marketing, right? It's just a conversation. We don't charge people to consult on what you should be doing for marketing. What are all the different things you're doing? So part of what we do is, hey, if you're with this company, provide me a copy of the contract. I will look through the contract. I will read it. If I have questions, I'm going to call that company. I'm going to figure out what they're doing within that agreement they're doing. Get access to some sort of reporting for the client, because a lot of times the clients, they're just unfortunately bombarded with so many marketing companies, and everyone says they can do the same thing, and they promise all these huge results, and then they're a few months into it and they have no clue what they're doing, because the first thing I ask is, have you gotten a report yet? And usually the answer is going to be no. I have not gotten a single report. Great. Give me a copy of the contract. I'll go chase down the company. I'm going to talk to the company. I'm going to see what they're doing. I mean, we just did this for a heating company locally here, and believe it or not, they're still spending $60,000 a year in yellow page advertising. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure when the last time you picked up a phone book. $60,000 a year. And then, you look at the bill and they're like, well, they're also spending an additional $60,000 a year in internet marketing with that same company. So $120,000 a year, but you don't have any results to show for the work that they've done. So, and unfortunately gonna get angry. A lot of companies, they lock people into like year-long contracts. Like you said, Fine Law is like 3 years. That's ridiculous. So if you can't produce results in 3 months, how are you going to be able to produce results in 6 months or 9 months or a year or 3 years, right? So the good thing about our company, not to boast about us, but like with SEO, it's a 6-month agreement and then month to month. With everything else, it's a 3-month and then month to month. Because if we can't prove our worth and provide a return to our clients within 3 to 6 months, then you should fire us. And I tell that to every single business. If I'm not producing results, then I'm not the right company for you. No problem doing it. And I will say, in the 9 years that we've been part of Valor, I think I've been fired 3 times.
That's a good record. So if there's just one takeaway to get your money's worth from listening to this podcast is don't sign a damn contract with anybody, and at least consult with you guys first to see if it's the right thing or not.
Yeah, I will say one thing, public service announcement. For those small businesses and entrepreneurs that get calls from Google doesn't call people. So those companies misrepresent themselves. That's just a warning. Secondly, I think Joe and I would be willing to anyone listening who has a small business and a website that would want our free audit. Our contact info will be provided. We're more than willing to give you a free website audit, just if you want information of how Google views your website and if there are any improvements, modifications that your website person could do. We're more than willing to help.
And just so you're aware that Greater Tool is a third-party company, so it has nothing to do with us.
Yes.
So we don't benefit from it at all, other than you as a business can learn about how well or not well your website's built.
So in closing, what advice would you give that you haven't already given right now to these small business owners that really need to get their message out, to get their brand out, to get their name out, and they're just struggling or haven't even started to do this yet?
For me, internet marketing is not going away. It's something that every business should embrace. Whether it's they just need a website or they need a full gamut of marketing, it's just not going away. So meeting with businesses and getting educated, I think is important for every business.
Yeah, and I'll just, again, I'm like a broken record, but the education piece, business owners out there, you could educate yourself. I mean, you could Google or YouTube the topics we're talking about is WordPress good for a website? Is SEO good? Google Ads, the pros and cons. Information's out there. Educate yourselves. Or come to us for a free consult.
Yeah. And as far as free marketing, claim your Google My Business listing, claim your Yahoo, your Bing listing. You should have social media business pages. You should not do social media off your personal page. There's a lot of free things that you can do as a business.
Great. And so this podcast comes both in two forms, one with video and audio, and then one just audio only. Why don't you give everybody contact information to reach out to you guys? So
mine is joe@valormarketing.net. My number, I don't care. You guys can all have it. It's 253-318-2589. Our website is valormarketingllc.com. And Galen?
My email address is gr@valormarketing.net, and my mobile number is 206-369-1983.
So in closing, what's the R stand for?
My last name. So first initial, Galen, last initial, Ruelos.
There you go. That's how you pronounce it. Thank you, guys. This has been a great podcast and very informative, and you guys do standout work. I hope people call you before they sign those damn 3-year contracts.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you again for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I started singing bye bye Miss American Pie, drove my Chevy to